welcome back to another episode of Marketing Should Be Fun. As always, our names have not changed. My name is Austin Savage, and I am the founder of Savage Content Collective, and I'm here with my good friend and business partner, Kelsie Zarko. Kelsie, how are you today?
I'm good. We're back.
We're back.
I was literally just sitting here thinking, this is so fun. I'm so excited that we're doing this again.
I know. It has been a minute. We took a little breaky poo in the summer.
A little hiatus.
We literally didn't do anything over the summer. We just sat on the beach. We drank cocktails. We did nothing. And
what a life.
What a life that would be.
I mean, yeah,
if that was
we
true.
just held on for dear life this summer. Let's be real.
Just running kids to places, doing all of the things.
Yes.
I know we had we did summer camp for two of our kids this summer for the first time, which was awesome overall. Because normally during the summer, the kids are just home. That's just what we do. They're home, just eating everything and just running around screaming for 3 months. But there was a little less of that this summer, which was nice, but a lot more driving this summer than I'm used to. So. Yeah.
Welcome. I'm just going to tell you, it just kind of gets worse. I always heard people say that and I was like, yeah, whatever. And literally I was just looking down the other day in my car and I was like, here I am. This is my life for the next 5-6 years of I'm just the carpool mom driving my kids everywhere they need to go.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, you guys do sports and stuff too. So you guys have you're going all around. You're doing things.
I know. We're doing things. We got therapies. We got sports. We got theater, we got school. It's all amazing things. So I can't complain, but it's a different pace.
Yeah. So I'm curious for you because you do homeschool you homeschool.
Yeah. Hybrid.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But do the hybrid thing.
Mm-hmm.
Does the summer feel like a big transition still to you?
Yes. I am still breathing a sigh of relief when fall comes, just because there's no structure to, I love my structure.
Yeah.
Summer actually is harder for us. Weirdly, we just need more babysitting. We don't have the rhythm of the school. My kids go to school Tuesday, Thursday, and then they're home Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So it just feels a little bit more chaotic. And then, you're paying tuition and you're paying babysitters. And it's just who's coming to help me? What's happening?
Do you do school and stuff during the summer still?
No, we really didn't this year. I used to do that. We used to kind of keep up with math and reading. We did not.
Yeah.
We did not at all. And I liked it. I think that's probably what we'll keep doing.
Yeah.
Break is good for everybody.
It is good for everybody. We got to the end of the summer and there were occasionally we would sit down and do the math worksheets or for our first grader, she learned how to read last year, but I feel like we didn't read as much as we should have with her this summer, but she is freaking crushing it. I feel like she just needed a little brain break and she came back, she remembered it all. So
yes, there's so much science behind that. This is not an education podcast, but if it was, I would tell you all about how sometimes you need to learn it all and then not learn for a minute so your brain can process and then you're ready to go again.
Heck yeah. Well, you are good at teaching your kids things. My wife is good at teaching our kids things as well. I'm really not that good at teaching my kids things.
I don't know. You're a soccer coach now. So, hey.
Apparently I'm a soccer coach now. Yes. Kelsie, what is we have a whole fun little podcast planned here today, but what is our this or that for today?
Okay. It's a great one. We were just having this whole conversation before we pushed record about Chiefs game last night. At our time of recording, football has just reappeared in the world and all is well again. So my question is college football or NFL?
Ooh, great question. Confidence, NFL.
Ooh, you were ready. That's the most ready you've ever been for this or that in your whole life.
And what's interesting is I probably, if I knew more about college football, would actually say the opposite, because when it comes to basketball, I am obsessed with college basketball.
Yeah, you are.
Love college basketball. And I think there's more drama in it. I think there's more story. It just matters more. And I think it's probably just because I just haven't dove into college football really. I just haven't watched it a lot, because I'm sure that it would kind of feel the same way. But I just feel like I right now am more connected to what's happening in the NFL. And so I vibe with that. I also just found out that, and I don't know how I didn't know this because it's been out for a little bit, but the NFL has like a sort of TV series that they produce called Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
And the latest season is about the Chicago Bears. And I didn't know about it until this week.
This is your moment.
I actually started watching it today. Yeah, I know.
Wear your new hat.
I should have. I finally got a Bears hat, and I just feel like it's really prepared me for us to win the Super Bowl this year.
Well, we do love an optimistic vote of confidence, even if you're not living in reality. But
yeah,
that's fine.
It's all fake. But I do acknowledge that it's fake. What about you?
Yeah. I mean, I used to be from Illinois, so I understand the need to cheer for the Chicago Bears with so much hope.
Yeah.
And now I live in Texas, and that is the literal world of football. So it's funny living here, and college football is like so much of a thing here.
Yeah.
There's so much there.
Got a lot of just colleges there. Like you just have a lot.
Honestly. Yeah. I mean, even the high school football here is like their stadiums are like Illinois college stadiums. So it's a different world. I would probably say NFL as well, just for the same reason. Like I follow it more. I know more about it. I watch it more.
Taylor Swift.
But I mean, come on, Taylor Swift, Kelsie. When you were talking about the story and the drama, I was like, what more story and drama do you need?
It's right there.
Right in front of you. I enjoy that. Every now and then I'll get into like a Baylor game. I'm kind of a big self-identifying Baylor fan just because I wanted to become one. And I have a lot of friends who are Aggies, so A&M and all of that. Every now and then it's fun to jump on a bandwagon, but I do love NFL.
Yeah. You're like, I just wanted. Was that pre-Texas that you wanted to become one, or was that after you moved to Texas?
When I moved here, I was like, I need to choose a place to belong. Yeah. I will choose Baylor.
Yeah. They got a lot of stuff, good stuff going overall.
Their games are really fun. We got to go to one recently. And yeah.
I have been to Texas multiple times, but I don't think that I have been there a single time since we started working together, which makes no sense. I agree. Don't think I have. Yeah.
I think once you always text me from the airport and you're like, hello, 20 minutes from your house.
Yeah, just passing through.
Stop and see you.
Just passing through. I know. There's so many places I want to explore there though. I mean, like you have so many places around the Dallas area that you have told me would be fun or that I would like. And I also I've never been to Austin, Texas. I feel like I would really like Austin, Texas. I mean, you
need to go there simply because it's your name.
It's my name. I know.
You would like it though. It's probably your vibe. There's a lot to do.
Seems fun. And even some year, the South by Southwest would be a fun thing to go to some year. I don't know. We'll see.
Put it on your bucket list.
Put it on my bucket list. We'll do it in 20 years. It'll be great.
Oh gosh.
Good thing that the NFL is back and that both of us get to enjoy our professional football entertainment.
Sporting events.
We have a two kind of parter of this podcast. We want to do a little state of the podcast, a little update on some things happening at Savage Content Collective and in both of our lives, and kind of just give some updates on where both of us are headed and where things are headed with this podcast, because it is still going forward and it is ready to freaking rock and roll here in the fall and beyond. And then we wanted to share just a few things that are on our mind, of things that we're excited to talk about here on the show as well. So, Kelsie, you have something exciting coming up in your life, and why don't you take a moment to share about it?
Yeah. We were joking before we recorded that we would share this as if it was a news broadcast. So now
Breaking
I can get
news.
That tone out of my head.
Suddenly, we are void of emotion. We just are talking about facts. Yeah.
This is how we're trying to handle our emotions, by just ignoring them. No, it's exciting. I have a lot of big changes coming up. And one of them is that I am branching out and taking a step out of Savage Content and starting my own company. So we are sharing it with no emotion because we have a lot of mixed emotions, but it is really exciting. Yeah. And it's kind of all come from, well, I know for sure that this wouldn't have happened if I wouldn't have spent the last almost 4 years here in this company. So that's very meaningful to me. My passion in life is to see people step into their giftings and show up for their life and feel confident in that. And I hope to do that through my new company, while I'm specifically supporting somewhat similar services, especially on the gram, because y'all know I love the gram.
Yeah.
but helping like local brands, female entrepreneurs, solo entrepreneurs step into, they're kind of ready for that next step of help with their marketing. Maybe they're not ready for like a full blown agency or, whatever that is. I have really enjoyed working with those types of clients, and I'm going to take that off on my own and do that here.
And crush it. You're going to crush it.
Thank you.
You are. I'm very proud of you. And I think that you're going to do a great job. And I know that you are going to do really well with it. I've been telling everybody that I have been talking to about it, because we recently told our client about this change or about this update. And a few of them have, mentioned it during meetings or, things like that, or like ask questions. And anyways, I've consistently said, I just like, she's going to do great. She's going to do awesome. And I know that it's going to be very successful. And I really do believe that, because you're very gifted at what you do. So it's going to be awesome. And I'm excited to see it grow.
Yeah, thanks. It's definitely been it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of thinking and deciding, and it feels like a big risk, but it also feels, that when you just like know it's right in your gut, like I have that feeling. And so that is very helpful. So it's called Curate. We'll have, we'll share more about it. I'm sure have different places you can connect with it in the future, but it's still getting off the ground right now. So, just launching a new thing.
Yeah. Well, like our mugs say, the world needs your dream. So I am glad that you are pursuing your dream, and I think it's going to be awesome. But you're venturing out, starting your own thing, which you just mentioned is kind of scary. I'm curious for you, what are the biggest kind of fears? What are those things that you're trying to, or the messages you're kind of trying to rewrite in your mind as you kind of prepare for it later this year?
Yeah. I've spent a lot of time working on this lately. So great question. Probably my two biggest fears are that it'll fail, like I won't get the clients, or I won't be able to support my family, or things like that. And honestly, it's very sweet. This about me, but like I have my own faith, and that is something that really encourages me. And every time I've had those doubts, the next day, I feel like the Lord's brought me someone who's like, hey, I heard about this. I'd love to talk to you. And so just those little nuggets of like, hey, keep moving forward, like take the next step. It's not all on your shoulders,
Yeah.
So that has been one of them. And then probably the other one is like, am I ruining our lives? Am I making like a dumb decision? Am I going to regret this? And that's just not true. Like that one decision does not determine the rest of your life. And again, it's kind of still, I guess, the same message of like, take the next step forward, be confident. You are, I know that I am good at this, and I know that I have a passion for it, and I know I can help a lot of people. So focusing on who I can help and who I can encourage, and kind of be the wind beneath their wings, if we want to get really cheesy. That helps me to kind of quiet those lies and those fears.
One of my favorite things that we shared off and on of like some Gary Vee inspiration that I enjoy, and I watch him less than I used to, but he has always talked about with decision making. He's like, people always kind of like freak out about decisions, like if should I do this or should I do this? And he's like, you'll never know what the other option was. Like you'll never know. And so he's like, just picking one is the best way to move forward, because then it's going to present new decisions, and you'll just be able to move forward. And I think it still is a scary thing, but it is kind of a freeing perspective of like, that this is the decision that you made, and you could start it and it could be really hard, and like lead to things that you're like, okay, there are some tough decisions that we have to make pretty early on. And it also could be something that like, that is a lot easier, kind of like gets momentum a lot quicker than you expected. And the only way to figure out which one of those it is to start, and is to make that decision and then make the next decision in the next one. So I'm glad that you
so true.
have that perspective. And that's true for any new thing, just like moving forward one decision at a time.
Yeah. You can get definitely stuck in that analysis trap, but you just got to move forward with action and remind yourself what's true. And usually it's not quite as scary as you think it will be.
Yeah. Well, one of the most meaningful things or important things in my life, I feel like, was like I had a very similar experience to you before launching Savage Content, of just like having like a really, overall just like a great experience in my previous job that really kind of like laid the foundation for me to be like, I feel confident enough. I feel like I'm ready to kind of like jump out and do this. And you've owned or kind of like led, business for yourself before. But I know it's been a little bit, so it's it's like that those feelings all over again. That season was like a very sort of nerve-wracking one. Like I felt a lot of the same things that you're feeling now. And I also just like look back on that time very fondly. Like it was just a very fun experience. So many like really cool things have happened since then. So I'm excited in 4 years to talk to you again and be like, what are all the things that have happened over the last 4 years that you would have missed out on if you hadn't have taken this step. So
yeah,
awesome.
That will be exciting. And you can, ask me for updates between now and 4 years because we'll still get to hang out together right here.
Yes. Well, speaking of that, bringing it back to the podcast, we are going to continue hosting Marketing Should Be Fun together, which is awesome. And I feel like that's really special.
Yes, I'm very excited about that. When I told you I wanted to keep doing that, I was like, it's not an option for us to not get to do this because it's too much fun.
It is fun. And it'll be like a really interesting, not shift in conversations, but it'll just add some like different perspectives, I feel like, because we'll be working with different people. We'll be kind of like pursuing different strategies from each other. And I'm excited to just like use this space to bounce ideas, talk about what we're seeing work or, what we're seeing, people have challenges with and those kinds of things. But I feel like that is really significant. So Marketing Should Be Fun is going to continue to be a Savage Content Collective show, and it's going to be a Curate show. Both of those brands kind of, coming together, both of us kind of coming together to continue to host these conversations. So truly, you probably won't notice that much that's different as a listener. It'll probably feel the same. But it is a significant kind of moment in the life of Savage Content Collective because you have been here for almost 4 years.
3.5.
Yeah, a little over 3.5. Mm-hmm. And now are stepping out on your own and launching this new thing. So I'm excited for, what those conversations are going to look like.
I agree that you having that similar experience and story has made this transition, I think, more smooth and more encouraging than it could have been. You showed a lot of leadership leading with like abundance mindset and not scarcity. Sure. And it would have been really easy to do that. So I'm just grateful for that in you. And I'm excited to keep going with the show too, because I think it'll just add a different flair, a different depth, just different dynamics. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
There's like 1 week in there that I panicked, but other than that, I was good. So
yeah. And that's a fair and normal feeling. It would, you don't have to always feel prepared and exactly where you want to be, but you process through it really well. So yeah, I see that in you.
It was fun. I am actually very excited. Like I know that I shared, I'm very excited for you. And at the same time, it's like those tensions of feelings you feel all the time of like, it is a big loss of you've just been doing a lot of the work in Savage Content and have just been such like a perspective shaper in like even just the strategies that we're sharing and, kind of the content that we do end up creating for clients. But some of the people in hiring that we're making to kind of not fill the gap, but to kind of adjust our structure to accommodate. It's exciting at the same time. Like there is a lot of opportunity. One thing that I've been telling myself a lot is that challenges make space for opportunity. And I've been trying to kind of like remind myself of that, of, when things are challenging or feel confusing or feel frustrating, that's often, when there is space being created for opportunity. And I'm really starting to see that there are, some new voices kind of coming in that are excited, that have like different perspectives than I have, or different experiences than either of us have had. And I think that's going to, be valuable in the long run as well. So all around, like, how do you hold every single emotion in along the spectrum of emotions at the same time? I don't know, but that's what it is to be human, I suppose. So
yes, we are getting a lot of practice of that right now. And I tell myself all the time, feel more than one thing at a time, and all of them are valid.
Yeah. Well, sweet. So that is just an update on the podcast. So truly won't notice that much of a difference on the conversations. We're going to continue to host them together. Some we'll host separately, just of things that we do on our own, or conversations that make sense to do it that way. The podcast will still be with Austin and Kelsie.
That's
awesome.
Right. And you get to see some fresh new podcast art teaser coming soon. So lots of freshness and fun and flair coming for you this fall. That was a lot of F's. It made me really happy with the alliteration that was just going on right there.
I can tell you've been going back to teaching second grade or third. Was it third grade? Was it third?
Second grade.
Okay,
Second
second.
grade. Okay, for like 2 hours a week. It's just, it's coming out of me.
Amazing. Okay, but there are a few things. So we did want to kind of pair this conversation, of course, with some value for you as a listener. And as always, we are so grateful to you for listening to the show and just supporting our work. But a couple things that one, we want to remind you of today, and two, that we're just like excited to kind of talk about on the podcast and some of our upcoming conversations later this year. A few things that kind of came to mind, just that we're kind of thinking about right now. The first one for me is the importance of authenticity. I just feel like we have talked about that since day one on Marketing Should Be Fun. We've talked about it since day one of Savage Content Collective, and people have talked about it for years before Savage Content Collective even started. I know for me, and I would love to hear anything that's just like top of mind on that topic for you as well. But this just like continues to be just such a core part of content marketing. And I think for us, sometimes like I always like doing these like little recaps of like, here's what we're thinking about, because like it's the same things all the time. But often for us, like being in the space for so long, like some of these like foundational things start to feel so like rote or so like, okay, like we've been saying that for so long. So like it's probably like not exactly the same anymore. And I've just been like still seeing, I know that we just as a company have still been seeing like the content that still is performing the best is the content that is super authentic, is very behind the scenes, is still often, not always, but often lower quality or, not as like produced, and not necessarily lower quality in value, but lower quality in like how it's presented.
Right.
And just like is authentic, kind of like real content or real perspectives or behind the scenes looks. We just continue to see that in the marketing that we're doing. And I just know that that is a principle to just continue to double down on in fall 2024 into 2025. Be more authentic that you can be in the content that you're creating. Very likely, the better you will connect with the people you're trying to reach.
Yeah. I wish that we had like clips of every single time I've said this on the podcast, because we could probably make a whole episode out of it. But it's still true. Like people are on social or they're on whatever the platform is that they're finding to connect with people. At the end of the day, if you go all the way down to the root of it, that's what they want. And so that is why being authentic often is the most successful strategy, because you're able to meet the people who are coming to connect with you at the base level where they're wanting to be. And I'm always the one who's going to go to like the granular strategy part of this quickly. But I hope as you're listening that that's encouraging to you too, because from an actual time perspective, or just like the practicality of like, how do I create content? How am I staying consistent? How am I putting things out? This is a win for you, because it makes it easier. You don't have to have the most expensive video in the world. You don't have to have the perfect transitions. You remember back in 2020 when we were like flipping our hair and lining up the transition? I mean, it's just a different world than it was. And I think it is easier to create content. Doesn't mean it is less meaningful or that you can just check the box. I think it is just more approachable to the general population to create content this way. And it's working to connect with people right now. So that's a double win.
Yeah. I think it's just such an important, just like filter of that, because I see like even still, and this is something that we talked about in like episode 2 or 3, but I remember we'd always talk about like our corporate clients really like, when I say corporate, like with quotes, but just like larger companies that we work with, they always struggle with this the most. And we do with smaller creators or like individuals who have a brand. We see this with them as well, but it's just such an interesting thing, because it's like so hard for us to flip the script on like, well, there's professionalism and like how we want our brand to look and feel. And then on the other side, there's like the human, authentic, kind of like side of really what makes up who we are. And it's like just so scary to even just take steps away from that like professional box. And you don't have to go all the way over here, but just to kind of like move a little bit in that direction to start showcasing personality and culture and fun and just like the real things that make up your brand or who you are. And just as we have seen brands like slowly get more comfortable with like taking just those steps, again, not fully in the like we're not professional anymore, like it's not just one or the other, but just to kind of like take steps in that direction has been very, very positive for those who have been willing to do it.
Yeah. And I know most people do not think through the lens of marketing all the time like we do, but you start to see this everywhere. I mean, if you watch commercials, like last night, I'm watching, I don't know if you've seen the Uber commercial lately.
I don't know if
where it's like the Uber Eats commercial. So it's like this whole commercial about different people, like people who are like needing things to like brought to their house, like delivered, which is what Uber can do. But it's all like human connection. Like one girl forgets her teddy bear and it's like in the backseat of the car, or
Aww.
one person, you know, like they're getting their coffee, but they're not featuring the coffee. They're not featuring the food.
Right.
They're featuring the person in the driver's seat, bringing the food to you.
Yeah.
And like the end of the commercial says something like, you know, we'll be there, you know, like it's the human connection, authenticity part. And so you just start to see it everywhere. And so hopefully that encourages you that like even corporate clients are using this in the messaging of their marketing, and it's because it works.
Yeah. I love that. Kelsie, you added number 2 to our list. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm excited this fall and, you know, right now, even to just be a voice here for you to bring clarity to strategy. I know that we hear this from our clients. I'm sure those of you listening can relate, but it just often can feel confusing. And like there is so much noise out there about like which way to do what, or what's the right strategy, or when do I post, or what's the algorithm doing, or, you know, how do I do this? How do I do that? We continue to just want to be a place for you and a voice for you that kind of cuts through that overwhelm, reminds you that we say a lot, there are no right answers. You really can do whatever you want, especially if you're filtering through some of those lenses of authenticity and human connection, but to also sort through some of that overwhelm for you and kind of bring you the latest on like what we're seeing working, or, you know, what strategies have been helpful and successful. As you're listening to this, even today, it's, you know, September 6th as we're recording. You'll listen to this sometime in September, kind of the midpoint or the start of the fall. Just be encouraged that you do not have to do it all. You do not have to chase every whim and every trend and listen to every person out there who's telling you something. If you don't like the voices you're listening to, like turn them off for a while. You know, if something stresses you out, we want to be a place to just encourage you to use your gifting, step in where it feels right to you. And give you some tips on what can work and what you can leave behind. Yeah.
You always say this in relation to social, but there's like that you don't have to do every new thing. Like you just said. I mean, that's just such a valuable reminder in general. And it goes beyond social too. Like just in general with how you're marketing your business, you know, you don't have to do everything. Like I just posted something this morning about comparison with like statistics, not comparing where you're at and the statistics that you're getting to what you see somebody else getting, and instead just like comparing yourself to yourself. But the same thing is true like with strategy, right? Like so many times we're like, well, I think that I need to do this because this other company that I follow like does it. And when that comes out of a place of like genuine, like, oh, that actually looks really cool. Like we could do that so well. And that sounds so exciting. Or like that would be just such a great thing for my brand or our brand. Then it's something genuine and something that, you know, you really can pursue. But when that comes out of a place that's like, oh, this is another thing that, you know, like we have to do, or I actually have zero interest in this, but I just like purely just feel pressure to add on, you know, fill in the blank or start running, you know, these types of ads or, you know, something like that. And it's just such a good reminder of like, you are in control of how you want to grow your brand. And yes, sometimes we have to filter things through like what would connect well with the people we're trying to reach and, you know, what is generally best practice. But at the end of the day, we can choose what to incorporate and what not to incorporate in how we are growing our brands. And so I love this one. And I agree. I also want to double down on just like giving people the freedom to grow in the way that makes sense for them.
Yes. Amen.
Third one that we're excited about and just thinking about right now. And this is another one that we've been talking about for 4 years. And I am just as excited today as I was 4 years ago to champion this reminder more than ever. I mean, we are just going to continue to double down on the idea of consistency and just reminding ourselves in the work that we're doing of just the importance of showing up as consistently as possible on the platforms and the content engines that you are choosing to leverage. Like I really hope that on this podcast that you continue to just feel like we are just your cheerleaders for you to just like keep making content and keep kind of moving forward on this content strategy, because at the end of the day, it's that consistency over a long period of time that is going to lead to trust built. It's not the game of the individual pieces. It's not the game of every single post has to do really, really well, but it is the game of we are going to continue to share value this month, next month, 6 months, and beyond. And so that in whatever industry you're in, and whatever you are trying to accomplish in the world, in your community, in the nation, that you become the go-to voice for that niche or for the work that you are doing, as opposed to other people who are not as consistent. What comes to mind to you for that?
Yeah, I think I know we both feel this way, but I just feel incredibly passionate more than ever about just being the voice in your ear, literally in your ear as you listen to us, that most people, you stop being consistent when you don't believe that you have what it takes anymore, or that you don't believe your gifts are needed in the world or your voice is needed. Yeah. And that is not true. Like, if you were made, I believe this, that you were made with specific talents, gifts, things that we need. And if you don't show up in them, the world doesn't get to experience them. And we need you to own them and to show them off. And there are ways to do that can feel right and good to you and not weird. Or, I think so many people, we work with their mindset of like, it's okay for you to show up and say what you're good at and put it on display for the world. And so I just want to keep being that voice that says, yes, keep showing up, keep doing it. We need you. The world needs your gift. It's on a mug. Forever we'll live in infamy.
On a mug. That is so true about consistency getting harder when we feel like we've already said everything that we have to say. Like, that's really good. I don't know if we've actually talked about that before. Maybe we have, but that is very interesting of that phrasing, because that's so true. Like, you have so much to say. And even when you've said it, everybody hasn't heard it. And that's why consistency is so important, is that people are, all of these content engines, even podcasts, like even if you're taking the time to, listen to this full 40-minute episode, you might be listening on 2x speed. You might be moving around and doing stuff and missing, sections. But when it comes especially to things like social media and, similar kind of styles of content, I mean, it's just moving so fast, and people are getting bits and pieces. People are, choosing what feels the most valuable to them in that moment, or the most entertaining to them in that moment. And so just consistently putting your message and perspectives, even if you're saying them over and over and over again in different ways, that's what every turn of the month for our clients, right? We're like, we revisit, we're like, okay, this is what this client is trying to accomplish. And this month we want to continue to champion that in creative ways, that is sharing the same message in different ways. And there is freedom to do that. It is strategic to do that, because you are being consistent and carrying your brand forward.
I love that one. I think if we just clipped that little message you just said down and could send it to everybody in the world, that would be amazing. But
I'll get right on that.
Yeah, you just work on that. We're excited for what's ahead this fall, this new season, literally and metaphorically.
Yeah.
And we hope you are just reminded today to keep being authentic, to keep showing up here to find clarity, cut through the overwhelm, and to be consistent, because the world needs what you have. And we'll be right back here very soon with a new episode. Marketing should be fun.
Thanks for listening.